Hey, this is Joe at the Hookin Hut. Um, Good evening. I tried to do this outside today, and I just completely lost all my concentration. One, because the neighbor's stupid hunting dogs were barking their heads off, and then my mind was on the wild turkeys that were out in the field, and I had hoped to be able to set myself up so you could see the turkeys moving around in the background, but the sun was shining in my eyes way, way too bright. I couldn't see. So you're stuck tonight in my bedroom. Last week, Sarah Lieb of Sarah Lieb Crochet on Etsy, my sidekick, partner in crime, uh, did a video on whether Etsy was worth it or not. And so since she mentioned my name, I wondered, it was like, wow, I wonder if I should do this, if I should do up on whether I think Etsy's worth it or not. And so I decided, sure, why not? So, is Etsy worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely, by far. I Personal opinion, I think Etsy is the ultimate place to get started at, and to get yourself established and to build trust between yourself and customers and what have you. And the reason I say that is because um, I had a bad experience with somebody who was had their store on their site, on their website. Okay, they weren't connected with any established store place at all, like Etsy or someplace. They were just out on their own, and I liked what they had, and so I bought something, and that was the end of it. I never heard from them. I didn't get what I ordered. I lost my money. Um, and because they weren't with somebody else, I had no one to ask to help from. I was stuck. I lost all the way around. So that was the end of that. And I swore then, unless I actually know the person, I will not buy from their shop. Under any circumstances, I will not buy from someone's shop that I don't know. Now, on Etsy, I'll buy from the shop if I don't know. Because I know with Etsy, as a buyer, I have buyer protection. So I feel nice and safe with that. Knowing you've got buyer protection, you're more apt to buy, you're more apt to spend more than you are with someone that you don't know and they've got a store on their own website. At least I am. Okay. So, looking at it from a buyer's perspective, um, for you to have your store on Etsy is even better because I would trust you more. And if you don't do your business properly, well, I'll just tell Etsy, and Etsy will step in, and that'll be the end of you, won't it? But anyway, um, yeah, that's about how it would work, isn't it? So, what's the other part? Right, I just lost my train of thought when I did that. As a seller, the great part about Etsy is that Etsy offers seller protection. And they make a fantastic middleman. And I'll tell you my experience on that one. A while back, I had this cute little red toy plushie that I made up. I thought I had him here. Do I have him here? Oh, I must have him back in my crafter. But anyways, I had this cute little red plushie with little flippy arms on him, great big eyes, and he was so cute. And I named him. He was one of my own designs, and I named him Zippo. I wasn't thinking that I was with somebody's intellectual property. I just like the name Zippo, and it's in my story, in my head. This little guy's name was Zippo. So what happened was the Zippo company, I guess, or whoever they are, founding. How on earth I will never know. They found him, and they reported me to Etsy. Well, I get this lovely email from Etsy saying you are in whatever guilty a copy of intellectual whatever. Anyway, I got busted. So I didn't know I was could get busted for that, but I got busted. So they told me how to undo the damage that's been done. In other words, how to get a hold of the company, what to say to them, and then if things are cool between me and the company, then I'm allowed to put the item back up, but with a different name. And so, anyways, I got a hold of the company, and they were really nice. I was worried about what their response was going to be to me, but they were really, really nice. And so we talked things out through several emails, which happened, I mean, like that. There was no hesitation with the company. They got right back to me. And so we got things set up, and, within the hour or so, I had Zippy back up. His name is now Zippy, not Zippo. And I made sure with the company that Zippy was an okay word, and she said we don't own that name, so as far as I can't tell you, but otherwise, yeah. But we don't own the name. Okay, then Zippy is. So Zippy was back up. But who knows what would have happened if they would have gotten hold of me, because I wouldn't have known what to do, because I was in a borderline panic as it was, because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was scared stiff that Etsy might shut my store down. And Etsy will. So things were cool, everything went fine, and I haven't had any more problems since then. So I've been very careful about what I name. So, that took care of that. So at that point, again, I was really glad that my store was with Etsy. Um, the fact that Etsy charges you 20 cents to put up each item for rent space, um, that's fine by me. I'm perfectly okay by that, because they've got massive amount of bandwidth that all of these stores use up, and the money's got to come from somewhere. And the fact that I would be paying out more a month for uh, a website with a store, good web hosting, let's put it that way, like with HostGator or something, I would be paying out more each month than what I pay out to have my shop on Etsy. So Etsy really, in the long run, saves me money. And plus the fact that people aren't afraid to buy from me, because they're buying, in their minds, they're buying from Etsy. So I'm fine by that. So that gives people, courage to buy from you and not have to worry. Oh, let's see. As far as getting sales on the store itself, I've had 2 sales on the store from people I don't know, and that was in December, and that was 2 very little items, which were mug hugs. Um, I don't really worry about that. Maybe I should, but where my sales come from doesn't bother me. I most of my sales are all offline. Um, um, well, yeah, well, no, no, not really offline. I mean, I get some offline, but most of my that's not true. Most of my sales actually come from posting pictures of what I'm working on, or the finished product on Facebook, on my regular Facebook page, not the Hookin Hunt, but on my regular Facebook page. When I post the pictures up, that's where I've made my sales, because different ones have said, "Ooh, I really like that. Could you make me one?" Yeah, let me put it up in my shop, and then you go to my Etsy shop and buy it. And that's how the sales end up getting made that way. And but let's see, since October total, and that includes this month, I've made a little over $700 so far, which is nothing to sneeze at, because a lot of people don't make that in the first few years that they got their store open. Oh my, maybe not even first 5 sometimes, from what I've heard from different people talking on podcasts and stuff. So, but if you look at my store, you won't see that much money. You're not going to see over 700. And that's because I didn't start out recording all of my non-directly Etsy sales. In other words, my offline, my real full offline sales, I wasn't recording on Etsy, and I've started recording those now. So that changes, the ball game a bit. But if you include those sales that I didn't add on to Etsy as Etsy sales, it comes to a bit over 700. Uh, how do I get traffic to my site? I don't know. I really don't. Most of my, from when I was looking at the stats this last time, most of the traffic comes from people going on Etsy and looking. I don't really get much as far as what social media goes. Uh, Almost nothing, really. Like one, and that's it. But uh, yeah, but that's probably because I'm not doing something right. I'm not being as involved as I should be. Um, I'm in different groups on Ravelry, but I'm not participating. Uh, I don't really participate a tremendous amount in the crochet group I'm in on Facebook. So, a lot of it, if you're not getting sales or you're not getting visits to your Facebook page or your Etsy shop, it's probably because you're just not doing enough, or what you're doing isn't right, or whatever on it. You're not using your keywords right. You're trying for cute titles instead of putting in keywords that people are actually searching for. Um, those type of things. Um, you're Maybe you're not educating yourself to see what the better sellers are doing, like listening to podcasts. I've so far listened to over 200 hours of podcasts, and I have gained so much from them. And I'm seeing the difference in the way things are working with my shop and with visits and stuff, um, and in sales, really, for here lately. And but like some good books. Let me tell you some good books that you need to check out if you've got an Etsy shop. If you don't have an Etsy shop, open one. Seriously, dude, there's nothing to lose. Just be patient and understand that not everybody makes sales immediately. Sometimes you can go an entire year and not making a single sale. And if that's the case, then you really, really need to be reading books and finding out what successful people are doing and start doing those things. Because it can't happen for just one person and not happen for you. Because that just doesn't make sense. And that's what I count on. And that's why I don't lose hope when I get a whole bunch of visits, but I don't make any sales on it, or stuff like that. Because hey, they'll remember me. They'll come back. I'm not worried about it. Okay. So some good books to get are How to Sell on Etsy with Facebook. It's from Selling on Etsy Made Easy. And then How to Sell on Etsy with Pinterest, still from the Sell on Etsy Made Easy book. And How to Sell on Etsy with Blogging, the third book in the Selling on Etsy Made Easy series. Okay, so those are three that you want to look at. Another good one is Etsy Power 12 Proven Principles for Etsy Sellers. There's The Handmade Entrepreneur by Danny Marie. Danny is Dani. Let's see what else we got. There's one that I haven't read yet, but it was a #1 bestseller. It's called Craft Business Power. It's another good one. Etsy Empire is excellent. It's probably the best one. That one's by Eric Michael. And another one is Etsy Selling Success, Cash In on Your Creations by Elise Reynolds. And I'll put all the names of these down in the show notes. Probably not tonight. I'm going to put the video up tonight and I'll do the show notes tomorrow. Just because it's getting late and I need to get back on a order that I've been working on. Yes, it's nighttime and I've got to keep working on this order. Only by choice. Not because I have. Well, yeah, not because I have to. It's just I didn't get in enough crocheting on it today and I don't like that, so I need to get caught up. But I'll put those books down tomorrow so you can check them out. If you have Kindle Unlimited, get the books. You can read those. Most of those, almost every one of them that I listed off there are all you can read for free on Kindle. Um, have the book read to you, or have your Kindle read to you, or your Nook, or whatever you got. Have them read to you from these books. And, I keep a notepad nearby so I can write down ideas as, I'm crocheting and working on an order. Um, so I don't forget what I'm learning. Because, that's the last thing you want to do is waste all that time listening to a book and then not write down your ideas and then apply what you're learning. And just put it in action. And eventually it has to work. I mean, that's the way the odds and statistics always are. Eventually it has to work because it's working for someone else. It's working for the person who wrote the book. Therefore, it has to work for me if I do it just right. Pictures have an awful lot to do with whether you sell or not. There was a couple that I was listening to last week on Etsy Conversations podcast with the Ijama Elazu. And they said that they had their Etsy shop up for a long time and they just weren't making hardly anything off of it. But as soon as they started improving their pictures, they got sales. And it's like, yeah, because your customer can't feel the item. They can't really get a good view of it. And so without really good pictures, how are they going to know? And if you look at mine, yes, if you go to my store, the Hookin Hut, you'll see there's a lot lacking in the photography. And I'm really working on that. I've picked up some whiteboard, foam board, so I can start improving the pictures there. I'm trying to get more outdoor shots so I can use natural lighting. I'm hoping next month I'll have the money that I can order some um, photography lights because the lighting here in the cottage is horrible. The lighting at my mom's is horrible. I have such a tiny span of being able to get a picture. By the time I get my camera set up and everything, it's, the lighting's gone. And even if you do it in advance, you're still not going to get that lighting because when the sun comes up, my craft window faces east. So when the sun comes up, it's coming up over the hill. Unfortunately, this time of year, yeah, it's coming up over the hill and hitting the barn, the back of the barn. So I've got the barn blocking the sunlight coming through. And then once it gets high enough that it should be able to come into my room, I've got the darn silo in the way. So you really have a hard time getting lighting in that place. So anyways, and if you'll see carpet on the floor, a beige carpet or whatever color that is. That's my mom's carpet because I'll run to my mom's and I'll throw stuff on the floor trying to get a good shot. So I'm working on it. I'm trying. I'm slowly learning some new tricks that I'll be pulling off this month. February is my goal month for really working on my Etsy shop and getting better photos up of things. So that'll give me a chance to see how that's going to work as far as making more sales. But right now, I'm not even wanting any sales because I've got 16 pot holders to make and 16 pot holders and 6 or 12, I can't remember now, um, scrubbies that I've been working on. And the scrubby is this little bugger that's got the Red Heart scrubby yarn on one side and 100% cotton on the other. And I think this one's sugar and cream. But anyway, so those are other things I'm making on top of the pot holders. So I've got a lot to keep me busy. It's going to keep me busy for another couple of weeks. So anyway, but that's it. Is Etsy worth it? 100% so. Because you always have that site to be able to send your friends off to or strangers off to. Make sure you get you some business cards. Go to vistaprint.com and order business cards there. And make sure you have Instagram, your Pinterest, and all of that stuff on there so that people can find you and follow you, and of course also your Etsy shop. To find something that matches, like for knitting or crochet, just go into the search box on Vistaprint and it'll come up with things for you. And I really like mine. Mine's got a little ball of yarn and a hook in it. and it's really cute. So that's the one I went with. And I love the colors on it. It's very nice and crafty. So that's it for me. Set up your Etsy site, and if you do have your Etsy site and you're getting discouraged, don't. Do not be discouraged. Um, Listen to podcasts. Again, Etsy Conversations podcast is your best one you're going to find for Etsy. Loads and loads of encouragement there, listening and finding out what other people are doing and stuff. And just go for it. Don't sit around and wait. So that's it for me. This is Yo from the Hookin Hut. Good night.